Hey guys, KZ Guy 2, No Nonsense Know How, and today I want to show you the adjustable rear suspension on my BMW F650 Funduro. One thing I still have to do, you might notice I have a block of wood under there. I still have to extend the kickstand for when it's in its higher position. But I'm 6'2", so I'm a tall guy. I've owned this bike for a long time, but it's time that I wanted to raise this up and get some more ground clearance, and quite frankly, it just feels better to me. It looks cooler. So this is with it in its high position. I can still plant my feet just fine. It feels good. Everything feels great. So to put this thing back in its factory suspension setting, you just remove this cover, 2.4mm, in your seat. You're gonna need a 14mm socket, the way I have this set up. And basically that's what you're looking at. You just you take the load off by pushing over on the bike, take the load off the suspension, take this top 14mm bolt out, then drop the bike down and line it up and slip it back in the top hole right there. So that's what that looks like. It's held up very well. I put this on, I've taken it off-road quite a few times after putting it on, beat it up pretty good. So, you know, this design works. And here's a short video on how to do it, how to accomplish what I did. All right, now with the air box and battery out of here, that slides out of the starboard side here of the motorcycle. It's a little tight coming out, but you know, now we can see a much better view. So this is with the hole lined up there, and we're at 29.5 inches up to the top of the frame rail here. And now with it jacked up, we're at about 31.5 inches. So we can get a maximum 2-inch lift out of this, which is pretty sweet with minimal modifications. So you can see now, this is where basically I'm gonna have to grind this out here and then weld a piece on each side. Some guys might say, oh, you know what, you're gonna mess up the geometry of the motorcycle, it's not gonna ride right, but people have told me that before, but I've done this on other bikes, like I said, and yeah, they seem to ride great to me, you know, up to 100 some miles an hour too. I mean, if this was a sport bike going, you know, 150, 160 miles an hour, a little different. You don't really want to mess with the geometry of the bike so much, but this bike, you know, it's pretty mild motorcycle, so. All right, so here's what I came up with. I got these two spacers, one for each side, and grinded out this hole for them using the die grinder again. Then they just slip into place like that in the groove. I'm gonna come in here and weld that in there pretty good. I would have liked to use a thicker spacer, something a little bit more diameter, but I don't have anything. This is what I have, and quite frankly, that would put me closer to this main hole here too. So, all right, finally getting back to this project here. It's been a while. I was out in Denver for a little bit. Basically, I got these bottom pieces welded on here. I did have to chamfer the top of this shock, sand this down a little bit. I took off a decent amount of material, so that's got to be pretty thick there. I had a spare shock in case I messed it up. I have a spare one, so that worked out good. Because basically, when you would use this top hole, the shock was hitting these bottom holes here. So anyway, so now I have these test bolts in here, and I'm going to be welding these two spacers onto this side. And the idea behind that is, you know, I'm also going to be welding nuts on the other side, a nut here and a nut there. So you don't have to, you know, when I remove this thing, I don't have to mess with getting a wrench over there or anything like that. They'll stay stationary, and they'll actually add some extra support as well, you know, instead of just using this only. All right, so it's not all painted up to look pretty, but this is basically the end product here. We got these two old cylinder head high carbon nuts welded on this side, and then those two spacers welded onto this side, welded underneath as well. You can see inside there why I had to chamfer the top of that shock, because it's pretty tight tolerances there. So this will be the stock factory setting. So let's do a little functionality test before I put this thing all back together. Right now the bike's sitting with the load on the shock. So go ahead and crack your bolt loose, it's very tight. And obviously you'll be doing this with a side stand leaning the bike on the side. But right now I got a jack under the bike, so I can jack it until I feel this nut get loose. There it is, it's loose, so I can remove the nut. Oh, I'm sorry, not the nut, the bolt. Anyway, so now we've got that in neutral position, so the shock's going to stay right there. The shock's just chilling on this bolt. I don't know if you can see that because it's not focusing right on this, but chamfer the top of that bolt. So it's a high carbon bolt, high grade steel. So now jack the bike up till the bottom hole is lined up, or at least close to it, and that's why I put this in here. Obviously, to switch this on the bike, you're gonna have to take the side cover off and all that too, but you know, whatever the case. This is not going to be something that you switch on the fly all the time. But so you have that hole there, so you can feel that line up first, and once it does, that will slide in like so. Tighten her down. Boom, nice and snug. Take your load off, and now the bike is 2 inches higher, and we have options. So yeah, I'm gonna put this thing back together, let you guys know how it rides, and we'll see if I can actually do it on the side stand, you know, with taking this cover off and getting in there. Yeah, so that's that, guys. Working in the garage. It's a good time, guys. It's a good time.